X always stands for the unknown, right? So when you think about it, algebra is really the method of solving problems by honest confession of our own ignorance. So when I say algebra equals power, I don't mean it in a cliche, milk does a body good, eat your Wheaties kind of way. I mean it in a patriarchy kind of way. Although I guess at this point that might be kind of cliche too. By the way, just to be clear, patriarchy is a gender neutral concept to me. See this book right here? This is called Philosophy and Fun with Algebra. It sounds sweet, but really boring, right? It's actually quite subversive. So hear me out. It was written in 1891 by a woman named Mary Everest Boole. For context, Mary Everest was married to George Boole. George Boole is the guy who laid the foundation for the logic that today underpins Google's search engine. Side note, having read several books by Mary Everest and several books by George Boole, I feel pretty confident that George's work was actually their co-creation. This book is where I got the notion of this relationship between algebra and integrity and humility. It's about algebra and it's written for kids, but it's full of brilliantly subtle jabs at the arrogance of the then existing academic establishment. And at the very end, she adds an appendix that is less subtle, and I'd like to share that. The essential element of algebra is the habitual registration of the exact limits of one's knowledge, the incessant calling into consciousness the fact of one's own ignorance. This is the element which my husband's would-be interpreters have left out of his method. Men who wish to exploit other men fear nothing in logic or science, except this element. They fear nothing in earth, heaven, or hell so much as a public accustomed to realize exactly how much has been proved and where its own ignorance begins. Exploiters fear this about equally, whether they call themselves priests, schoolmasters, college dons, political leaders, or organizers of syndicates and trusts. As long as general readers can be kept from the habit of registering at every step the limits of their own knowledge, a clever charlatan can deceive them about anything he pleases, from pitch and toss to manslaughter, from zero to infinity, from the contents of a meat tin to the contents of an engineer's report, from the interpretation of a bill before Parliament to the interpretation of the Bible. But once get a fair portion of the public into the steady habit of algebraizing ignorance, and you have done much towards reducing all kinds of parasitic creatures to the alternative of starvation, suicide, or earning their own living by rendering some kind of real service to the organism which supports them.